Hello, Squirrel Tribe. It is Saturday, my dudes. So today here where I live in Okaloosa County, Florida, started off beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, perfect weather, sun was out, everything else. And then out of nowhere, you look up in the sky and you just see massive black smoke everywhere. And my very first thought was, East Palestine, Ohio. It reminded me of that so much. And everything else we've talked about over the last year or two with the explosions at dairy farms, or the explosions at, where was it? The recycling plant in, I can't remember what state. And then there was another explosion at a vape shop. We're going to talk about that later, by the way. And I see these big plumes of smoke and you automatically know something bad has happened. Devastation has occurred in some shape or form. And I want to show you guys, this is from across the harbor here. There, y'all can see that. Now I'm closer to it than this video was, and that was huge. So when this happens, I'm in a small community, right? My community is all of 7 miles long. The city I live in, all of 7 miles long. So when you see something like this, it's a huge deal. And this is in the harbor in Destin. And in the harbor, all the restaurants that are in there are mom and pop restaurants. They are places that have been there for years and years and years. There is no chain restaurant in the harbor. There's no Outback, there's no Longhorn, there's no McDonald's, there's none of those kind of things. It's all things like a place called Beauchamp's, which is my absolute favorite. You have Harbor Docks and Harbor Tavern, you have Marina Cafe, you have AJ's, and then you have Tailfins. And Tailfins is the one that caught fire. And it was huge. We went by, my husband Kevin and I went by, and he droned over it when it was all said and done to see what it looked like. And it's pretty much obliterated from the top. The very bottom might still be okay, but this fire here stopped everything where I live. All of the businesses around it, because this is in the harbor, there are tons of businesses all around it. It stopped everything. They closed down the entire highway, Highway 98, in front of this. Everything was closed down. All of our fire trucks were diverted over to Tailfins, because you can see once again how severe that is, right? All from a kitchen fire. They said it was a kitchen fire. But the thing that happens now is they've got the fire contained. It's done. The fire trucks are still out there in case there's like a re-spark of something, because we know how fires can re-flame, re-spark, however that's supposed to be phrased. But now you have these people who are out of a job, out of business, because of the fact that it is a mom and pop place. It's not like it's a chain who they can say, hey, well, maybe there's some shifts at this other one down the street that you can go pick up. The servers there, the cooks there, the people who do the landscaping there, who do anything, they're all out of a job until this can open back up. What's even worse is that is one of the places here, because we are a tourist area. They are going to be severely hurt now that summer is literally around the corner. School is out in just a couple weeks. The bookings for around here are through the roof. It's going to be very, very bad for them. But it's cyclical. I think that's the right word. It's like Lion King. It's like a circle, right? Circle of life, if you will, because although this is devastating to the local economy here based off how much money that place probably brings in from all the tourists, not to mention the locals. It's one of the locals' favorites. I think it's been around for, I think they said 40 years or something along those lines. It's been around for a very long time. What will happen though is that now companies get a job. You need new people with concrete. You need framers. You need electricians. You need painters. You need whatever else there is. They have to go buy new appliances. So that gives places around here, it's really bright out, give places around here new business. So although devastation like this is awful, you have to also look at the flip side of it, of how it still helps other people, which is, I know, a really weird way to look at things. But when this was happening, I was looking at how yesterday's weather through the Midwest was also devastating and horrific. They said here that there were 83 tornado reports across 5 states yesterday and it's continued. They're expected to be continued today from Texas to the Great Lakes. It says here that Pottawatomie County, Iowa, declared a state of emergency after severe weather damages approximately 120 structures in the city of Minden. which is now prompting a 10 p.m. curfew and disruption of gas and power. So today they have a curfew. They have a flood watch in effect for 8 states from Texas to Iowa until Monday afternoon due to heavy downpours with a high risk of excessive rainfall leading to potential flash flooding. All of these things are awful. These tornadoes coming through, destroying 120 structures in just one city alone, plus all these other places that have been either demolished or torn up or whatever else. It's awful, right? Devastation. But you have to look at the flip side of it also and go, well, now there's rebuilding. There's more money going back into the community for the labor that's in that community, for the businesses that supply, whether it is the concrete, the electric, the landscape, the framing, the painting, any of those things. Those men and women will now be busy to ensure that they still have a job. We focus so much on the negativity of things that I didn't want it to be all about negative. Yes, there are negative things we're going to talk about today, but I want people to remember that generally speaking, there is a flip side to that negative. You know, the light turns off, but you can also flip the switch and turn it on, which I just did that backwards. There's day and then there's night. There's the opposite to everything. So when devastation does occur, 99% of the time, there will be something good that can come out of it for somebody or something. Now, there's also a evacuation being ordered right now because of a massive train derailment. This is so Norfolk Southern, East Palestine, Ohio, like flashback. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, look at that with the fire and all that's missing is the snow. But this is actually in Mexico. So 35 rail cars derailed in New Mexico, causing evacuations and closing a 50-mile stretch of Interstate 40. 6 of the derailed train cars were carrying propane, prompting evacuation orders within a 2-mile radius of the derailment and fire. You have the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board investigators expected to arrive and document the scene and examine the train and equipment involved in the derailment. And this did happen today around 12:13 p.m. Central Daylight Time. It's not Standard Time, Central Daylight Time. Says McKinley County Fire and Rescue was dispatched around 12:40 p.m. Oh, I'm sorry, Friday. I'm a day off. I apologize. After the train derailed and caught fire off Interstate 40 near the state line, 6 of the derailed cars were carrying propane, according to BNSF. It had to be one of the big guys, right? Evacuation orders were issued and remain in place for residents within a 2-mile radius of the derailment and fire along the New Mexico state line with Arizona. This is according to an update from BNSF Railway. So if you have been in that area and you're wondering why you can't get through or what's going on or what that smoke is in the air, train derailment. If you happen to be in Okaloosa County where I am and you're like, what was that smoke earlier? It was the destruction of tail fins in the harbor. If you happen to be in any of the states from Texas to Iowa or to the Great Lakes that had the tornadoes and everything go through yesterday, y'all knew what was happening. I had no idea that there was that severe weather about to go through. I did a live stream on SquirrelTribe 2.0 yesterday, and I had people in the live stream talking about they were having tornado warnings going off like 5 or 6 different times. It was really bad for people in the Midwest yesterday due to all of these tornadoes. It says here that a multi-day tornado outbreak continues Saturday, which is today, with powerful storms expected from Texas to the Great Lakes. There have been 33 damaging wind reports and 60 large hail reports. There is a tornado watch in effect for parts of 6 states, from Texas all the way up to Iowa into late evening. And the watch will likely expand east slightly as the day wears on. A lot of people know to watch Ryan Hall, y'all. I'm sure there are other YouTubers that people like to watch when it comes to information with the weather. Whoever you watch, as long as you're paying attention to what they're saying, it helps you stay safe. I say watch whoever you want to watch. I say Ryan Hall, y'all, because I have seen him numerous times and I like how dedicated he is. He does these live streams and will stay on it for hours. And I think it's amazing the way he is really into what is going on, and he's very knowledgeable. I understand what he's talking about when he says it. Sometimes some things can go over my head when it comes to what meteorologists will talk about, but the way he explains it makes sense to me. Now, a moderate risk, which is a level 4 out of 5, is in the outlook for Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri today, with storms expected to flare up again in the afternoon and evening, which is now, across a huge area of the country. There's a chance for strong, long track tornadoes, as well as very large hail up to 3 inches in diameter and thunderstorm winds up to 80 miles per hour. They said that 4 people were injured in Iowa on Friday, 120 structures damaged, like we talked about in the Pottawatomie County. The city of Minden was the hardest hit, and they are the ones that have the curfew now, and the gas and power have been disrupted due to everything that's happened. Severe damage was also reported across eastern Nebraska, with hundreds of homes damaged in the Omaha area on Friday. I don't know who these people are, but you can see their home just demolished from the tornadoes that went through. It feels like tornadoes have really been like kicking up lately, which I guess is ironic because kicking up is like a tornado, whatever. But tornadoes there's been a lot of them lately. I remember when I was younger, tornadoes were a thing, but I feel like they have gotten more severe and more of them over the last few years. And I don't know if it's because of the way by we, I mean the government has been manipulating the weather, if it has anything to do with climate change at all. I've always wondered if, when we're cutting down all these trees and putting up these parking lots and these buildings and things like that, what kind of negative effect is that having on the weather itself? Less oxygen and all these new fumes going up in the air. Does that correlate to how many tornadoes we have? I don't know, but it seems the more we do to the earth, the more we have these negative weather patterns. So I don't know. It says there have been 7 tornado reports so far on Saturday, today. 1 tornado emergency was issued for Knox City, Tennessee, where a large damaging tornado was reported near the town with a population of more than 1,000 people. Baseball-sized hail was also reported. That's huge, just so we're all fully aware. Then there was another confirmed tornado 8 miles north of Robinson, Kansas. There's a flood watch in effect for 8 states from Texas to Iowa until Monday. Damaging winds, huge hail, and long track tornadoes, all in the cards, especially in Kansas, Oklahoma, and northeast Texas. Overall, there is a severe weather threat stretching across the central U.S. from Canada to Mexico. So here's where they're showing everything for those of you who either have not been aware or aren't watching Ryan Hall, y'all, or just need to have kind of an update. That's what they're showing right there. More than 2 to 5 inches of rain may be falling in a short period of time, which is prompting weather prediction centers to issue a moderate risk for excessive rainfall all the way from Texas to Missouri. And then a high risk for excessive rainfall is the greatest level threat possible. 1/3 of all flood-related fatalities occur in high-risk areas. It is a rare and serious life-threatening flood event forecast that leads to a high-risk issuance. We talked about years ago in the beginning of C19 about making sure you had enough, supplies on hand in case anything went wonky, if you will. If, the supply chain stayed crapped out and there was empty shelves or any of that kind of stuff. Well, now it feels like that the thing people need to really be focused on are ways to get out of areas quickly when these storms come through, or ways to ensure that if there is flooding, you can survive it, whether it's with a inflatable little raft or something. Make sure you have life jackets, make sure you have flashlights, make sure you have some sort of protection from hail, something to cover you with if you happen to be outside. Isn't that like the weirdest thing? It used to be, well, it might rain today. Make sure you take a rain jacket. There's a chance of light rain. And now it's, well, there may be hail. Make sure you take like a metal garbage can lid to hold over your head if you have to walk from a point A to point B outside. Make sure you have a life jacket in your back seat in case your car is, whisked away in floodwaters. Make sure you have an inflatable, like a pull string kind of inflatable raft in your garage in case your whole family has to load onto it and float down your river street, because now your street is a river from all the flooding. It's weird how things change over time. And you're going to have people out there who be like, this is nothing new. We've had severe weather forever. And I agree with you. You're right. We have had severe weather forever. It just seems to be getting more severe, in my opinion. And these are things that I think everybody should pay attention to. If you know the area of the country you're in has a tendency to have tornadoes, maybe look into having a way to go underground. If you know that where you are is near bodies of water that could flood, make sure you have a life jacket for each person in your family, and your doggy too. They make doggy life jackets. Make sure your pets and stuff are protected. This dude is knocked out. 80-pound dog thinks he's a cat and just likes to cuddle up next to people. Anyway, Maxie, I love you. Just random things that I think are important to keep in mind and think about. But also, like I said, there is a bright side to every dark side. So again, all this destruction and chaos that is happening right now, there will be new rebuilding. Maybe it will be great for, some of these homes that needed a lot of work. And now, you can look at it as a small sliver of, what is it? Like silver lining, I guess, that you can get new stuff that insurance should hopefully pay out. Now, the downside is insurance is going to get hella expensive continuously with all of these things that are going on and all the stuff that insurance has to pay out for because of all these things. But that's not what we're talking about. We're going to keep that little negativity part down. Now, it says that Sunday, tomorrow, the threat will be reduced, but there's still a chance for damaging wind, large hail, and a few tornadoes from Austin, Texas to Davenport, Iowa. This includes Shreveport, Louisiana, Little Rock, Arkansas, Kansas City, and St. Louis, Missouri. So just keep an eye on all of that. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention to you guys today, do you remember by any chance a couple months ago when we talked about there was a warehouse that blew up, and it was a vape pen warehouse, and they had a ton of different things in it that they should not have had. Let's see if I can find the right thing here. Where is it? It was in Clinton Township. Oh, come on. I had my note and then I lost it. Michigan. Okay. Clinton Township, Michigan. There was the warehouse that like exploded out of nowhere, and it was about vape pens and stuff. And people are like, how is a warehouse with vape pens exploding? Why is this a thing? And it's because they were housing illegally hundreds of canisters of, propane, and I don't remember what else there was. There was propane and something else. Let me see if I can find the notes here. Thanks for hanging out with me while I figure this out. I could pause y'all, I could edit, but we're not going to do that because that's not what we do over here. And I can't. Okay, here it is. Illegally possessed and improperly stored nitrous oxide and butane cans. This is the guy who owns that place, okay, that warehouse, which I don't remember the name of the warehouse, and it's not anywhere in here. That's interesting. They didn't put the name of the warehouse. I feel like they should. Okay, so the fatal explosion at his vape and smoke business, Goo Smoke Shop / Select Distributors. That's what I remembered, was Select Distributors. This was on March 4th. There was this massive blast, and these canisters were flying through the air within like a 2-mile radius. And one of them fell and killed a 19-year-old kid who was at a car wash. Canister hit him, killed him, right? So this guy, April 20th, did something with his passport trying to get a flight out of the country on a one-way ticket. So Michigan police were like, oh no, we're charging you for involuntary manslaughter then. We don't want you to leave. We're going to charge you for involuntary manslaughter, because they have not been able to determine how or why this explosion occurred on March 4th because of all of the illegal things he had on property. That is why they're going to charge him with involuntary manslaughter. If it had been legal stuff, if he hadn't had all this other stuff there that wasn't supposed to be there, it would have been probably my opinion. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a detective. I don't know 100%, but my opinion would be they may have let him leave the country. Maybe not. They probably wouldn't have arrested him though on involuntary manslaughter charges, but they probably would have stopped him from leaving the country. But because he was housing illegal things there he shouldn't have had, and one of those illegal canisters is what hit this kid and killed him. When the police saw that he was attempting to use his passport, that he bought this ticket to leave this country on a one-way flight and leaving his wife and child here, they were like, hey, listen, it sounds like something somebody guilty would do, so we're going to stop you right now in your tracks. It says Noel Castow, owner of the Michigan Vape and Smoke Shop where the fatal explosion occurred, was charged with involuntary manslaughter and attempted to flee the country with a one-way ticket to Hong Kong. He didn't look Asian. I don't know why he picked Hong Kong. Does Hong Kong have a no extradition clause? Like if you're there, you're safe? Like is that like being marked home in tag? Like how does that work? Now the explosion, which was, they're saying, caused by illegal possession and improper storage of nitrous oxide and butane cans. They're saying that here in this article. But detectives and police are still saying they have not been able to pinpoint exactly what started the fire because there were so many post explosions, like little baby explosions and fires after the initial one, that a lot of the material has been corrupt or destroyed or whatever else, and they haven't been able to figure out exactly what started that initial explosion. Not fire, but explosion. But according to this article, they're saying that it was caused by illegal possession. I feel like they're reaching, so I don't want to say that that's what caused it, because I don't think they have that as a oh, are these AI created takeaways helpful? So AI is the one who's reaching and saying it was caused by that. Okay, cool. So this guy's bond was set at $500,000 with conditions including wearing a GPS tether, surrendering his passport and weapons, and not leaving the state while authorities continue to investigate the cause of the fire and explosion. You see there? Look, this is the same article. One little sliver says they're trying to investigate the cause of the fire. Another little sliver says it was caused by illegal possession. That's why you have to be very, very careful with what you see, with what you hear. How does that phrase go? Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. I think that's how it goes. Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. That feels accurate. So when I see these, I'm like, well, I don't know which one is right, but I'm pretty sure that the AI telling you it was caused by illegal possession is wrong. So anyway, the Clinton Township Police Department said during a press conference yesterday that the morning that this guy, who I can't say his name at all, attempted to flee the U.S. after the fatal explosion at his vape and smoke business, they said he illegally possessed and improperly stored nitrous oxide and butane cans. They shouldn't have had this in there, period. This is according to Clinton Police Chief Tim Duncan. It wasn't allowed in this district. At the time of the explosion, the illegal material rained down on civilians in a 1-mile radius. So there were some businesses that told us they had 30 holes in their ceiling from the rockets that were coming down on top of them. This is according to the Clinton Township Supervisor Bob Cannon. And then the one canister killed the 19-year-old Turner Lee Salter. He was a quarter-mile away from the building. So now they've got this guy, they're holding him on involuntary manslaughter. And I wonder if they ever would have arrested him if he had not tried to use his passport to leave the country. We can't say flee because we don't know. That's guessing. But if he hadn't used his passport to leave the country on a one-way ticket, there's the kicker that makes you look guilty, sir. I wonder if they would have arrested him, or if they still would have continued on with their investigation and he could have lived his life normally. But now he's sitting in a jail cell, $500,000 bond, and then when he gets out, he's going to have a GPS on him and they're going to be watching him like a hawk. So I just wanted to tell you guys about that, because since we talked about it when it happened in March, I thought you might like a little update on that. I'll be keeping an eye on what happened at the New Mexico, Arizona state line with this derailment, see what happens. Maybe we'll do an update on that on Monday, because tomorrow is family day, my dudes. Besides that, there's another one I want to talk about, but we're saving that for Monday because it's going to be a interesting, tricky, in-depth conversation that we got to be ready for. So there's that. Listen, I love y'all immensely. Thank you for letting me have this conversation with you. I think that's about it. I hope y'all have a fabulous rest of your Saturday. Enjoy your Sundays with your family, and I will see you guys again on Monday. Bye.